Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, and my friends, the big patch for Guilty Gear Strive is now live. As you can see, Jacko is on the screen, right? And as always, we're going to do the visual guide to the big changes to the patch. Now, not every single change is worth showing off, so I'm not going to go through every small detail, but there is a lot of big changes definitely worth showing off. So that said, let's get right to it. So first off here, Soul Badguy. As promised, the Crouch S has been buffed. The range has been buffed specifically in the later active frames. It now hits from further away. Point blank, it'll hit earlier on. If you're further out, it'll have to wait for a few frames into the move for it to hit, but the range is now buffed. Soul's Forward and S is long range poke. Due to the hitbox changes, now at longer ranges, it'll simply clash with a 6P rather than outright beating it. And also now, from a much further range away, you can actually beat it with a 6P. Either you beat it or you clash, but now it won't just clean the clock of a 6P for free. Wild Throw, as advertised, you can now roam and cancel it and get a nice big old pop-up. So you can get whatever combos you want to get going from there. I'm not a Soul player myself, so I don't know the optimal routes. But if you want the extra damage of a command grab and then getting all that fun stuff with a RC afterwards, it now works. It's totally valid, and enjoy, I guess, because now the command grab is that much better. And Arid Bandit Bringer is decidedly much less safe on block, as you can get punished by moves that never could have punched it before. I think it's maybe up to -7, -8, something like that now. So definitely not the go-to brain dead button it always was before. All in all, Soul's pretty much still the best character in the game. Once again, if you want to see the full change list, check the video description. The full patch notes will be there. But all in all, he got some little slaps on the wrist, and he even got some small buffs. So there you are. Kai Kisk. Lots of change. One thing here is the recovery on stand S is so much better than it was before. Even something like this here, it is now much less negative on block. Like the poke back that you see the enemy doing here, in a normal situation, that would have been a guaranteed punish. And now no longer. It might be something like -5, -6 now on block. So the recovery on that and the frame data of the recovery on block, just so much better. Now, the momentum after a dash is not as pronounced as I thought it would be, but it's still there. It's definitely better than it was before. As for the Dragon install, one of the things here is the meter. The penalty's still there for the first few seconds, but after a while, a couple seconds go by, your meter gain, hey, don't worry, it's there. You're gonna get that meter. So that is definitely much more attractive just off the top. The meter gain, the penalty is now there for a few seconds after the initial activation, but otherwise, you're fine. You're gonna get a lot of meter. Also, the hitbox has been expanded forward a fair bit, so meaning it'll hit from a good deal further away, as you can see there. So if you're looking for it to use it in the combos and that kind of situations, it's definitely much better suited for the task. The main thing here is, just besides the pokes, the Dragon install is now the tool that it probably should have been from the start. And now a lot more people are going to have a lot more fun playing around with it, because you can actually get meter when doing the move here. So you're not playing a crippled version of the character when you ostensibly were supposed to power up. For Mei, so Mei, stand heavy slash now recovers much quicker as advertised, and is also now safe on block versus punishable by pretty much everything on block before, so that's great. The nerf of standing S, decreasing the lower hitbox, is also as advertised, as now moves that are meant to low profile moves can actually go underneath it, when before they would get smacked in the face. So that's now viable. Now, of course, she can still stuff with Crouch S, that's fine, right? But now you actually have to think about which button you want to use versus the one-stop shop hammer for everything. And finally, the command grab. As you can see now, mid-screen, the enemy is way closer than they were before. Before, it would basically launch them almost the entirety of the screen, right? So now you can actually get small, not big, but, you know, workable combos mid-screen, other than just going to the dolphin. That's it, you know? Like, at bare minimum now, Before going in the Dolphin, that'd be 82. You can now get like a 6 HS afterwards. 98, that's a decent chunk of damage more. Being almost 100 damage, definitely more than the base throw, right? So that we'll have to like see if we can get like little cute things like, can we get like, you know, like a micro dash into 6 HS or something? I don't know. We'll figure that out in time. But at the very least, it's now much more valuable mid-screen than it ever was before. So Axel, it's time to get all these new possibilities because Snail is now faster and now it combos into things it never would have comboed before. So yeah, your quick little punch pokes, all that kind of stuff, they're going to get a lot more dangerous, a lot more valuable because now they're special cancelable. And also, speaking of special cancelable, you can now super cancel your specials and lead to a bunch of fun situations. So now in this same scenario here, we get our hit, we can now get one vision ready. This is the time stop move, right? And depending on the special move, depending on how much advantage you have, you can just go straight into a combo. So now you got a wealth of options. You can do Sickle Flash, Explosion Ender, prep it, and then cash out. And you have the time stop ready right there, right? And then you can bring them all the way to the corner. And like, I'm hardly an Axel player, right? So you can definitely do way better than that. But now any stray hit like that can lead to massive returns, right? I'm sure you could figure out a way to get a wall break combo from mid-screen easy off just getting a single basic confirm off this. By the way, works plenty fine off the unblockable, just FYI. So you can get all sorts of setups. Whatever your degenerate mind can come up with. I'm not an Axel player, but even I can figure out some basic stuff like that, right? Just bring it to the corner, wall break, all that kind of stuff. So Axel's gonna be eating good this patch. Gonna be eating real good. Not many people were asking for Axel to become even more of a threat than he was, but that's exactly what happened. Chipp, not too much to mention here. Stan S no longer stuffs 6Ps for free, which is good. You have to actually think. Now you actually got to use down S every now and then. And down S actually is affected by dash momentum now. So you have a button to do other than just run stand S like you do every single time, right? The big nerf here, drill kick. Now you can actually hit him out of it. Not too much to say other than that. The hitbox, or rather the hurtbox, has been expanded a decent amount. So it is now feasible to actually try to challenge Chipp other than just blocking and praying. Now Potemkin. First up here, the shoulder. It has reduced recovery. Now it's not reduced enough to make it safe on block. Like even from like extreme ranges, like you're generally, it's still going to get punished, right? You're still going to want to cancel it into stuff, at least in my early testing. But the recovery on block is enough that it makes certain combo routes possible. Let's say we were to do a really basic Roman cancel combo. Something like that wouldn't have really worked before, right? The raw shoulder causes the wall bounce, which is great, but you would recover too slow to get the close S into whatever follow-up, right? So just shaving a few frames off it makes that possible. So a lot of like near corner, in corner routes might now be possible thanks to the shoulder recovery change. Also, the heat knuckle change. It now builds a lot more risk than it did before. As you can clearly see, like about 25% before, right? Before it would take you like 100 blocked heat knuckles to get the risk gauge up. Now, as you can see, it is fairly significant. So there's at least some reward if you get blocked, right? It doesn't change the fact that like if they block it from like max range, can't really do much. Like you're not going to get anything, but at least now you'll get solid risk gauge gain on them. So Dr. Faust, one of the big ones here is the wheelchair super now wall breaks in the corner, meaning your actual damage will go way up because he could never do a super into a wall break before. So that'll definitely help his damage. So just an example basic combo. Now, at the end of all this, we're going to break his leg first. And after we break his leg, we break the wall. And now you can actually get some decent damage that way, right? So that is very nice, very helpful. Also, Crouch HS, the big old sweep with the scalpel, has its range increased. So now it actually hits from a little further away than Stand S does. There are ranges that Stand S will whiff that Crouch HS can hit from. So now when it just comes to like as a pure poking tool, it is definitely more valuable in that regard. The dive kick, down and kick in the air, and has much faster startup now. And due to the nature of how it hits the enemy in the air now, you might be able to get new combo routes. So really the big change is the super. It just helps with his combo structure, helps with his overall damage a lot, because he is definitely a low damage character. So being able to do the big super into the corner, getting that, and then getting the wall break from that, it's a big help all around. Stuff like down heavy slash just being a better poke overall, it helps. It's nice. Also the hitbox was, or rather the hurtbox was reduced, so it's just a little more difficult to hit him out of it, so that's pretty good. So it's small changes in a way, but they're definitely changes that help a lot. For Millia, so now stuff like Tandem Top, the slash version, will always combo in situations where it is very iffy depending on the hits and hurt boxes of stuff, right? Because the startup is now quite a bit quicker, and there's definitely going to be a lot more combo potential to be discovered in time for that. Also, Lust Shaker has, like, I don't know the exact frame data, but like way faster startup. So there's also now a lot of situations where this will combo situations where it could not before. This will create block strings that never existed before, true block strings. So these are not like huge changes, but they just make her general combo structure and pressure better. Like just something like ending in heavy slash into Lust Shaker, that's a true block string now. So like you can't mash through it, you can't do whatever. Like it's all guaranteed. So her general pressure is like, it's quality of life, right? In the end, it's all about mobility and mix, right? Like that's the big deal. But this will help with a lot of the less fancy stuff. So Zato, one of the changes here, stand heavy slash. It had more active frames, that the additional active frames that they added to it have more range, because now this like could never hit from that far away. Like not possible. It would always whiff, right? But now it will. So it's much more matching the animation than what it was before. So this can be a much more valuable poke in the end. So that's a strong buff. Also now, forward P. Look at this. You hit them with forward P. Boom, they go flying. Give you a little bit of room to breathe, because that's what the boy needs. And also do the faster startup combos in a lot of fun situations, right? So like quick poke into 6P is now a valuable thing. That's like a get off me tool, right? So that it's not like the ultimate thing, sure, whatever, but it's certainly nice and it certainly helps. So Ramlethal, first thing here, quarter circle back and S in the air, the double slash. The first hit now when it connects actually floats the enemy. So things like this are now like a proper combo. Like before, like the second hit of the swings would almost always whiff over their head, but since it floats them up a little bit, it'll be a lot easier to hit. And there's a little trickiness to this now. So due to the float state, you hit them like with only that hit and they're near the ground, you can actually, if we time this correctly, get like a little bit of a follow-up. So that's kind of interesting. Definitely a dang sight better than nothing happens, you landing recovery, and then you get hit in the head, right? Also, Daro. This is Dragon Punch Motion Punch, this guy here. It got a range increase. Now, when I first saw it, I looked at him like, this doesn't really look like anything, right? But when you play around with it a little bit, then things become a little bit more clear. Like things like this, where you get the counter hit situation here with your basic footsies tools, right? You know, slash, heavy slash. So there's a fun gimmick where you could Daro and then like purple RC cancel it and go forward and then keep the combo going. But like at absolute max range, it wouldn't work. You have to be into the sword a little bit, right? And now at max range, Easy peasy. So it doesn't look too much on paper, but in those situations, like that's where it's really noticeable. Where like at absolute tip, you would never get anywhere, and now you'll always be in range. So for like basic hit confirms mid-screen when you see you get the counter hit, then like, man, it's awesome, you'll get it every time. So when you're playing that neutral heavy playstyle, you're basically just gonna get more reward out of stuff like that. So, you know, Ramlethal didn't get a lot of changes, sure, but like, it helps, it helps. Okay, Leo, who thought this was a good idea? Oh my god. So, he only has one change of note, like balance-wise, right? That's when he's in back turn stance, Brynhildr stance, and from kick. So kick, you can now jump cancel it, which in my early testing isn't that big of a deal. But the big deal is you can dash cancel it now. So it's time to start having fun. It's time to start guessing, because guessing is what's on the menu now. So on top of all the craziness of how back turn stance worked before, now you're in threat of like kick, dash, now left, right, real quick, you know? And since you can reverse beat, so you can go like punch, kick, you know, like there's so much more layers of guessing, right? And God forbid the time you think, okay, I definitely know the dash is coming when you hit my button, and then bang, that crashes into your skull, and that's game over, right? So on top of all the pressure, now there's like just gimmicky mix, like have fun blocking. I don't know who thought Leo needed this additional layer of madness, but he's got it now, and we all gotta live with it. Nagoriyuki, he does have a slightly faster forward punch now, that's handy. But here's the big change. So they said they were going to increase the final hit of the target combo, the amount of blood that it drains. But they were kind of underselling it as far as I'm concerned, because it's a lot. So let's do an apples to apples comparison. So kind of classic setup here. We're going to go Beyblade and the cancel and like a little bit of a combo. So after it's all said and done, and we had the 6HS here, we're up about a blood and a half, right? Blood gauge and a half. But now let's use the target combo to end the whole situation. See where that blood drain's now at. Okay, now the blood drain's kicking in. And oh, it keeps going, it keeps going. Oh my god. It's like a half a bar now. It's like almost a full bar left. So as far as I can tell, all the heavies that have the heavy blood drain attached to them, you know, that's why you want to use so many heavies and combos. This has the final hit of the target combo, has like at least double the blood drain of a heavy normal. So that's something. So now we're in a situation where you really got to think, right? Combos that end with the heavies, at least in my early testing, they still do more damage, right? Because I'm using routes I never would have thought to use before. And you can usually, like, you know, do your thing, teleport, and be directly on top of them. So the Oki's still a little better too, right? But combos that end in SSS have a lot more corner carry. And if you are anywhere like mid-screen close to the corner, you're almost always going to get a guaranteed wall break, right? Which is great. And the blood drain, man, like, considering how much more advanced it is, if you're the kind of guy who likes to really go crazy, like, you know, do all the gimmicks, like counter poke people with teleports, watch them try to mash out of stuff when you're like all these things, this might be the way to go then. Maybe this is how you want to spend your combo time, going for SSS, because the more blood you have to work with, the more gimmicks you get to do, right? So if you're looking for more gimmicks instead of just raw damage, and the damage differential is not that different anyways, this might be the way to go. At bare minimum, the stuff you were already using SSS for like wall carry, corner combos, all that kind of stuff, it just strictly is better now, because the blood gauge gain is absolutely crazy. But for some people, it might be you want to look at the character in a different light now. So time will tell how it shakes out, but I'm very impressed with this one specific change. Giovanna, honestly, not too much to say. 4P or 6P is slightly, very slightly faster startup. And as advertised, the target combo is now a hard knockdown, so they don't tech roll out. So you can be directly on top of them when they wake up, like so much so that you go for the old dash S and it whiffs. That's how much frame advantage you have, right? So this just makes this much more valuable across the board because you can be directly on top of them on their wake up, and that's all there is really. But she was in a good spot and she got a strict buff, so hey, that's awesome. Anji. He's eating good this time around. So before we get to the crazy stuff, stand S. Now is much less negative on block. Like before, that would have been a punish. A move that slow would have punished it, right? So definitely just more, or rather less, recovery across the board. Now let's talk Fujin. So Fujin definitely got buffed. First up here, as advertised, after you whiff Fujin, you're now allowed to do all the cancels. So if you missed the move for whatever reason, you're still allowed to go into whatever you want. What I potentially misread or didn't understand at the time is you can now cancel even before it hits. So you're doing your move, right? Screw it, I don't want to finish the move. Let's just go into anything else before the move even hits, because that is what you can do now. Want to go for that raw overhead? Do it. Want to go for a raw low? Sure, why not, right? So on top of being able to cancel after whiff, you can now cancel before the move even comes out. So all four options are available to you. Like, you know, these plus on block projectiles, you can now just go into them. You don't gotta wait for Fujin to finish, right? Because the whole thing is like, after you block Fujin, well, you know, oh, the overhead's not very scary, right? Because after I block Fujin, I'm just gonna block low and react to the overhead. But now, if the overhead can come out whenevs, you know, that's definitely a lot scarier. If the low can come out whenevs, that's a lot scarier. You want to do weird full screen Lindy hops? Hey, there you go, right? You're diving in like a madman. You can do it. Like, all these things are now possible. So Fujin is now getting scary like it used to be, and I'm worried. But if you're an Anji player, you should definitely be jumping for joy. So if you thought Anji did pretty good, let's talk about Ino. So first up here, well, I'll let it speak for itself. Yeah, so her air dash movement is ridiculous now. Forward and back air dash are so much, the ability to go so much further than they ever did before. Like runaway Ino, runaway into note, runaway chemical love, that's going to be a thing for sure, right? Your ability to just traverse the screen is now so much better. Just everything about how all of her dashes and movements work, they're all better across the board. Like, this is a godsend for her. And we mentioned it before in the previous patch video, but now stuff like this. Like, that probably would have whiffed at that range before, right? So basic crouch kick into sweep works. Now, at absolute max range, like, it can still whiff. It's not perfect, but it's certainly a dang sight better than what it was before. Jump D, this guy here, says adjusted the hit effect on grounded opponents, and, well, I'll let it speak for itself. You can actually combo proper, because it gives them like a little weird little float state. That's interesting. And now, hey, stand heavy. It bounces on hit. It bounces on hit. Like, so easy peasy chemical love follow-ups to say the least. Easy peasy stroke the big tree to say the least. There you go. Very interesting change. Heavy version of stroke the big tree has reduced knockback. It's not a lot, but little things like, oh, if you want to go into 6HS right away, there's no need like micro walk or whatever. You can just do it and it'll work. No big deal, right? So the move has gotten a little bit better in that regard. But yeah, like, we started with it, but yeah, the big deal is definitely the movement. Her ability to move has definitely got better in the air, and that's kind of what the core concept of the character is to begin with. So she is a lot more closer to her ideal. Definitely won out big time. And Goldlewis. So Goldlewis has an interesting change. That's the Skyfish machine gun. At level 3, it is now a hard knockdown. And level 2, it is a soft knockdown. They just immediately tech right after the fact, right? So before it would always leave you standing, no matter what, any version of the move. So that's interesting, I guess. In my opinion, he definitely needs more, but it's certainly, I guess, not nothing. Just, you know, it is what it is. There are some silly applications, like something like this is now possible. Due to the fact that it's a hard knockdown now, you can, like, hit him with the super. So, like, if you're ever in that situation, there you go, I guess. That'll help. But those situations are probably going to be mildly rare, to say at the least. So that is the visual guide to this patch. Some characters, the changes are admittedly fairly small, and some characters, they got some pretty big changes. Even if it's like a singular change, like the Nagoriyuki SSS blood change, that one change is a pretty big deal. And then, like, we have characters like Anji and, you know, and, like, those changes are the world to these characters. They couldn't have asked for more, right? So we'll see how that goes, and we'll see how that plays out in the future. And some other characters, you know, decent quality of life, you know, Millia. We got a whole new layer of terror to worry about Leo. Like, it's an interesting patch. And if this is the small patch, right? The October patch is going to be the big one. If this is what they're willing to do now, I'm very, very interested to see what the big one will have in the future for us. But that all said, my friends, that is the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well. Go out and play some Guilty Gear.
Yeah.